Hi, my name is Clements. I'm the founder of Breathwave. Breathwave essentially is a gentle ceremonial offering of conscious connected breathing, which is a modality of direct source energy flowing as a natural wave through the gift of our own respiratory system. Our respiratory intelligence is incredibly beneficial but easily overlooked because it's right under our nose. And essentially, when we bring ourselves consciously into our own breathing, it has unlimited benefits that's very unique in how it touches each of us. Our breath pattern is given to us through the nature of our life experience, and our past experience is also stored in the cellular memory and in our breathing pattern. So when we first of all learn to regulate our breathing pattern, this regulates our nervous system and creates heart, brain, earth coherence. And I say earth coherence because the optimal vibratory frequency of the brain and the heart's intelligence actually synchronizes to the heartbeat and resonance of our mother's heartbeat, the heartbeat of the earth, and this 7.5 hertz per minute essentially of a rhythm of nature that is resonating with all of nature. And so ultimately we can experience oneness with the experience, but the personal journey and path of the breath takes us through a clearing of the subconscious mind, the stories, the past experience that's held in our consciousness that had tended to hold us back from our true nature. There is definitely a unique gift in each of us that is said to lie dormant, but it's been planted there since we arrived. And one of the gifts of opening up our consciousness and with our breathing pattern in this way is to peel the layers of this true nature that already lives within us. And so as a healing modality, I've found this to be absolutely the most beneficial thing that I can share with anyone, whether it's one-on-one or in a group. And therefore my passion now is teaching teachers. I still receive people one-on-one as I've seen the benefits of this uniquely touch each individual. But essentially, one of the qualities that I've seen in facilitators in medicine work in general has a tendency to be slightly ungrounded because of the lack of personal integration. And once we drop into the facilitator training beyond level 1, it's really about looking at the subtle nuances of the breathing pattern and how that arises in the experience of each individual as trauma release. And so we're very trauma aware to ground into this component of connection, quality human connection, and essential safety that we create with medicine work. And this safety keeps us open and feels like a quality human connection. When someone really is able to sit with you and see you for where you're at, it feels comfortable that they're able to be there and hold space for you. And essentially this is the transmission of what we bring home to facilitators that starts with our own personal practice. And once we become a clear vessel through our own personal integration, it shows up as integrity in our lives of how we can be there for others. Ultimately, what we share with one another is where we're at within ourselves. And so the first level is essential to the training program. And that's an invitation to drop into circle, to get honest and authentic about your personal story, to speak it to the circle so you hold ourselves and each other accountable. And also to remind ourselves of the power of prayer. And when we set an intention and we pray for that thing or quality to show up, once we have a feeling experience of that prayer, it manifests in our life. And we're seeing the science of that being confirmed now with many other beautiful medicine work that's happening in the world, including Joe Dispenza and scientists who were bringing a lot of these studies home and showing the proof of intention and emotion. The facilitator training is really a fun journey because we look at the subtle nuances of each other's breath pattern that I find can be easily overlooked even by other facilitators, because it's such a simple thing. We had someone show up this last week whose mother was laughing at him for coming to pay someone to get them to breathe for a week, because it's just something we do every day. But essentially, the breath is the only biological function that we have in the body that's both voluntary and involuntary. So what that says is we don't have to focus on our breathing. We just have to continue breathing to continue to live. But because we do have the power of our awareness, once we do place our attention on our breathing, it incredibly enhances how life moves and intelligence functions in the body. And this self-regulating intelligence has very personal benefits based on the stories that we've accumulated and how those stories show up as symptoms and how that shows up in relationships. And so if we're not able to correct some of those ways that we might be resisting or constricting or pushing or controlling the ways that life moves and how we relate to life, then we're going to continue creating the same relationships, the same symptoms, etc., etc. And it's really powerful to have a space holder, even in training, as a good friend that shows up to hold you accountable by bringing up the mirror to show you the things that you haven't been looking at, to remind you that there's some ways that you're unconsciously resisting or controlling how you're breathing. And so essentially this is our fundamental relationship of how we're living. And it's really fascinating to look at the correlations in our breath pattern that relate to not only the symptoms in our body, but how life continues to reflect back to us what we're projecting out to life. So what a beautiful thing to be able to be reminded of. That's deeply self-healing. I haven't found anything as beneficial and direct that's readily available and accessible to everyone. And one of my prayers is to make it more accessible and readily available to everyone. Not just the spiritual community who have been doing their work. People that are drawn to plant medicines now for many years eventually come around full circle to realize that we are the medicine, but also the corporate world. What if I could sit with some world leaders and just give them a really readily available technique for them to slow down and listen and ground in and to be more directly connected with their own relationships and what they're doing and how they're impacting others with their choices in the world. And I believe this is a time that the things that aren't serving us individually and collectively are crumbling around us, and we're being shown what's really true, what's really important, and what's truly real and essential that we must honor in order for us to survive. We're shifting out of a game of survival into thriving and living really well. And we're in a paradigm shift right now, and I feel like this basically human but spiritual practice is one of the most fundamental things that we can do to improve not only how we're relating to this moment, but how we're shifting now out of this tunnel of transformation and creating a new world together. So we invite you to join us. And here on Nectara, we're really enjoying this deep dive of giving people some more tools to integrate life and the medicine work that we've been doing with those plant teachers, and the triggers and challenges that we get in our daily life is the real ceremony. If you're not implementing and integrating those lessons that you're getting from the plant teachers, then those experiences that you've invested in are just in vain. if you're not implementing those teachings in your life. And breath is a really fundamental way that you can integrate and circulate those teachings as a way that you're going to be much more grounded and circulate through your veins and through your nervous system in a way that you're able to act upon those teachings that you get from the higher dimensions. The way that spirit works in ceremony. What if we could live our lives every day in ceremony, more connected with the earth, more connected with the waters, these life-giving elements that allow us to be here, but also our fundamental and beautiful connection with each other as human beings, as the highest level of consciousness that's ever been here on the planet. I believe that where we're really going is towards this technology that we already are, and activating our superpowers of our intelligence. There's talk of med beds and all these technological advancements, and we have the best medicine that we've ever had, and definitely saving lives, and it's essential in emergencies. But where we're really going is we're activating the higher intelligence that we still haven't tapped into. And it's one of the reasons why we're getting more telepathic, we're more connected, we're more energetically aware. And let breath be a fundamental anchor for you in your life. This is my prayer.